Chinese spy flight, what we are learning about the aircraft and what it was carrying and why that is raising major alarm bells. Good morning. I'm Dana Perino. Bill is off today, but my good friend Mike is here. Hi, good to have you.
Dana, great to be working with you. Thanks for having me. I'm Mike Emanuel. This is America's Newsroom. The State Department confirming the device was not only capable of gathering intelligence, but also monitoring U.S. communications. More details about the makeup of that spycraft are being revealed by the minute as crews attempt to haul what they can of the wreckage from the bottom of the ocean.
All this begging the question, why did the administration let it spend days leisurely floating over sensitive military sites? Among those pressing the Pentagon for answers, Montana Senator Jon Tester.
You can just say yes or no.
Sir,
you don't need to get into specifics. Just, did we know what they're trying to collect? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
The truth is, we think we know what they were going to collect. We don't know. That scares the hell out of me.
We are building our understanding of what capabilities they have.
I got a problem with a Chinese balloon flying over my state, much less the rest of the country.
But President Biden downplaying the incident in an interview with Telemundo. Take a look.
It's not a major breach. I mean, look, it's a violation of international law. It's our airspace. And once it comes in our airspace, we can do what we want with it.
Senator Roger Wicker is here with his reaction, but we begin with Brian Yennis. He is live off the coast of South Carolina, where the salvage operation is moving forward. Good morning, Brian.
Mike, good morning. The FBI says a majority of the Chinese spy balloon remains underwater, spread out in two separate sections in an area 15 football fields long and 15 football fields wide. They have not yet recovered the balloon's payload, where it said the majority of the onboard electronics are likely to be found. What they have found or been able to pull out of the water is some of the wiring, the balloon canopy, and very limited amount of electronics. The FBI has begun decontaminating some of the debris by removing salt and seawater, but so far, a, quote, extremely limited amount of evidence has made its way to the FBI lab in Quantico, Virginia for analysis. Still, according to two U.S. officials, over the last 2 days, naval divers have recovered potentially high-value equipment, and some balloon debris was intact on the ocean floor 50 feet below. Yesterday, during a congressional hearing, defense officials said part of the reason they did not shoot the spy balloon early on over the Aleutian Islands in Alaska was because they'd have a better shot at recovering it in the relatively warm and shallow waters off South Carolina.
The water depths offshore the Aleutians at 6+ nautical miles go very quickly from about 150 feet to over 18,000 feet near the Bering Sea. The winter water temperatures in the Bering Sea hover consistently in the low 30s, which would make recovery and salvage operations very dangerous.
More U.S. Navy unmanned underwater vehicles and equipment were moved in yesterday to assist in the recovery. The FBI says some of the debris recovered has English markings on it, though it's unclear if it's American. The State Department said it's confident the balloon was manufactured by a Chinese company with a direct relationship with China's military. Yesterday, the salvage operation was temporarily suspended due to high seas. They expect the conditions out here on the water to be much worse into the weekend. This is all expected, Mike, to take about 2 weeks, up to 2 weeks, to recover this spy balloon. Mike?
Brian Yennis starting us off just off the coast of South Carolina. Brian, many thanks.
And joining me now is Mississippi Senator Roger Wicker. He is the ranking Republican on the Senate Armed Services Committee. Here's a quote from the State Department. They said that there were multiple antennas likely capable of collecting and geolocating communications. So we started off the week with a lot of questions. I know that you got some answers, but it feels to me like those have raised additional questions. Where do you think we are right now?
Well, where we are right now is that the President of the United States, our Commander-in-Chief, has just told the world this was not a major breach. As you can see from previous people who've been on your channel this morning, Democrat and Republican, to a person, we think this was a major breach. And I was very interested in what Ms. Dalton was just saying in the run-up to this interview, and that is, it was so much better that we didn't shoot it down in Alaska and that we waited till it got to South Carolina where the waters are better. That raises the question, would they do this again? If that was such a wise decision, would the decision of this administration be to allow this surveillance balloon to go all over Alaska, then into the airspace of our ally, and then enter in the northwest Rockies and traverse some of the most sensitive areas of the United States, and only then we'll shoot it down? Is that the signal that the administration is sending? And those were some of the questions that were raised and frankly left completely unanswered in the classified briefing the Senate had yesterday.
Here's some other reaction from senators after they had that briefing. Here's some takeaways. Listen here.
There's nothing in there that I learned that would have said that we shouldn't have shot it down when it was over Alaska.
Everything I learned today confirms that the administration made the right decision.
As an Alaskan, I am so angry. I want to use other words, but I'm not going to.
I mean, it's rare that you get bipartisan consensus. I know that Senator Murphy just said he thinks that they did the right thing, and you could listen to all of this evidence and perhaps come to that conclusion. But there was a little detail that we learned from Brian Yennis that apparently some of the material that they have collected from the spy craft is English, English writing. You're on armed services. What does that tell you, if anything?
And one thing about this that bothers me, Dana, is that things are told to us that they say are classified, and then an hour or two later it becomes convenient to the administration to just release this to the American people, which is what happened on that particular incident. It raises another question, which we could get into later, is why do they classify so many things that a few moments later they're okay with everybody knowing? But yes, it is highly likely that some parts of this spy balloon and the apparatus that goes with it were manufactured actually in the United States. And this is something that I dealt with as chairman of the Commerce Committee, and Senator Reid and the SASC committee and I will be working on this in the future. We're trying to shut down Huawei. It's harder to do, but so many of the things that the Chinese have available to them are not subject to the correct export protocols, and frankly, there's no reason why the Chinese Communist Party, led by Xi Jinping, who wants to dominate the Pacific, should have anything made in the United States of America or anything with English language on it.
All right, well, more questions will no doubt continue from this, but I know that you're on top of it, trying to get some answers. Senator Wicker, thank you. Have a good weekend.
A lot more answers. Thank you so much.
A miraculous moment in the midst of tragedy. Rescue crews in Turkey pulling a 4-year-old girl alive from the rubble after hours of work.